So men and women can both experience the classic stroke symptoms that we just talked about in the BFAST acronym. But women are also more likely to show some other symptoms, which some of them could be symptoms of anything. So fatigue, nausea, but here are some other a little more concerning ones: confusion or disorientation, hiccups, which I found very interesting, especially because I had hiccups right before I started recording this podcast. I'm okay though. Welcome to Aging in Style with Lori Williams, the podcast all about finding the silver lining no matter what life throws your way. I'm Lori Williams, an award-winning senior living expert, author, educator, and caregiver to my husband, Mark. Join me as I share insights, tips, and personal stories to help you navigate the world of senior housing, discover ways to pay for care, advocate for your loved ones, and most importantly, learn how to thrive, not just survive, as you age. Hi, welcome to Aging in Style. This month, the month of May, we are focusing on something that is deeply personal to me and incredibly important to all of us, and that is stroke awareness. This month, the month of May, is Stroke Awareness Month, so I want to dedicate all of our episodes in the month of May to talking about strokes. As many of you know, if you follow the podcast, my husband Mark had the first of 4 strokes on Christmas Day 2022, and our world changed overnight. That experience is what led me to write my book, Surrounded by Love: One Family's Journey Through Stroke Recovery. And it's also why I have made it my mission to share knowledge about strokes through all types of education. I do lots of different speaking engagements. I have the book, podcast, and honestly, my goal is to just help people hopefully prevent a stroke. And if it can't be prevented, I want them to understand what comes next: rehabilitation, advocacy, caregiving. And I really honestly believe, most importantly, hope. Not losing hope in a situation that at times will feel completely hopeless. So to get started, let's just get to the basics of it. What is a stroke? A stroke occurs when blood flow to the brain is interrupted. Boom. That's the easiest way to describe it. It could be a blood clot, it could be plaque, it could be a hemorrhagic stroke. There's a lot of details that we could go into, but we're not going to on this podcast. We're going to keep it very basic. So when this happens, when the blood flow has been interrupted to that part of the brain, it dies. So every second counts, which is why it is so important to commit this acronym to memory, and this will help you spot early signs of a stroke. It's called BFAST. It's 2 words, B-E, and then FAST, F-A-S-T. And here's what it stands for. B is for balance. E is for eyes, like vision change, suddenly like blurred vision or double vision. F is for face drooping. One side of the face is drooping. A is for arm weakness. If you have them hold their arms out in front of them and one is either not coming up or is significantly lower than the other, that's a sign. S is for speech difficulty, and that is what I first saw with my husband, or noticed with him, was that he could not say a prayer he had said 1,000,000 times. When I asked him to say something else, it made no sense and it was slurred. And I immediately knew, because I knew this acronym, I knew he was having a stroke. And the last one, and most important, is T for time. And it's time to call 911. It's not time to put them in your car and take them to the hospital. I made that mistake, and I went to a hospital that didn't have a neurology department. So please learn from my mistake. Call 911. What I want to talk a little more about on this podcast episode is that there are differences in symptoms for women versus men. So men and women can both experience the classic stroke symptoms that we just talked about in the BFAST acronym. But women are also more likely to show some other symptoms, which some of them could be symptoms of anything. So fatigue, nausea, those could be kind of anything. But here are some other a little more concerning ones: confusion or disorientation, hiccups, which I found very interesting, especially because I had hiccups right before I started recording this podcast. I'm okay though. Shortness of breath, seizures, and behavioral changes. And because these symptoms, they don't always look like a stroke, they are often misdiagnosed or ignored, especially in younger women. Which leads me to the fact that you may be thinking, I don't need to worry about a stroke because I'm not 65 or 75 or 85. Well, my friend, you can have a stroke at any age. You can have a stroke at 16. You can have a stroke at 25, 33, 44. I mean, you can have a stroke at any time. That's why it's so important to know the causes, which we are going to go into all of that throughout the month of May on this podcast. Women also have worse outcomes than men when it comes to strokes. So women are more likely to die from a stroke. They're often older when they have a stroke, and many of them are living alone when it happens. I could definitely see, like, if my husband had been alone when he had a stroke, I don't think he would have done anything. I think he would have sat down in his chair and watched TV. I don't know that he would have known to call 911. I don't think he maybe would have thought it was as serious as it was. So I definitely see how that could happen to someone living alone. Women may also receive delayed or less aggressive treatment than a man would, and recovery can be longer and much more difficult. So when Mark had his strokes, I had the knowledge and I had connections to really fight to get him the right care. And even if I didn't understand some things, I had friends who were in the medical field that I could go to and ask them. And another thing that was on our side is that we live in Dallas, and it's a huge area, and we have lots and lots of resources. So that helped. We had lots of places to go and lots of great neuro rehab available. But, a lot of people don't. They don't have the connections. They don't know who to call. This is all new. And when you're thrown into something like this, someone you love is suddenly incapacitated and, gravely ill, you're so emotional about that piece of it. You're trying to understand and figure out what to do next, what's coming next. You're also worried about, my gosh, how am I going to pay for this? How am I going to work? How am I going to, there's so many things. It's so overwhelming. I mean, it's just so much. So one thing that's important to me and why I wrote the book is that I want to be a guide for others who are in the same situation and take this scary and confusing, overwhelming journey and do my best to help others with it. It's not just a story, it's a resource. And I'm so thankful when people reach out to me. It happens quite frequently. It just happened today over Facebook, but it'll be, a message through Facebook. And it could be someone I know or someone I don't know. A text, a phone call, an email. Hey, Lori, I heard about your book. My friend, my cousin, my mother-in-law, whoever, they have a friend who had a stroke or a loved one who had a stroke. They need your book. What's the name of it and how can I get it? And that just makes me just feel like some good is coming from this. I talk to people all the time, people who just need someone to talk to and to vent to, and that hopefully I can offer them a little bit of guidance on the journey. So, it's always important to find some good, or at least to me it is. So this is my mission, along with, of course, my mission in being an aging advocate and all the things that I do for seniors, because that is my heart, to help people. But also this, stroke has become a mission for me. And it's a simple mission. It's just educate people so that they can prevent strokes whenever possible, support those who have become caregivers overnight, and help people, whether it's stroke, Alzheimer's, another disease, whatever. If you're an advocate for someone you love, I want to help you become a powerful, badass advocate who is not going to take no for an answer, because you have to be that when you're taking care of someone that they can't speak up and care for themselves, right? They can't make decisions on their own. You have to be the one in charge. And I have taken that very seriously for Mark. In March, early March, he became sick with a virus, which caused him to fall. And we had to call 911 because he's a big guy. We couldn't get him up. And they took him to the emergency room in the hospital a few days. I truly, fully expected he would go to the in-hospital rehab, which is intense rehab, 3 hours a day. He had been doing outpatient rehab right before he had this fall. And the fall all came about because he became weak, because his system is compromised, because he's a stroke survivor. But unfortunately, the case manager at that hospital could not understand that. And I tried every way to explain, and she honestly didn't care. And she said he's only going to be accepted into a nursing home rehab, which was unacceptable because I knew that was the wrong place for Mark. I knew that he would decline if we did that, and I had to fight for him to get him the intense rehab he needed, which was 3 hours a day. I knew someone I could call. I called her. She had everything done, had him admitted to their incredible stroke program in the rehab, and he was there within 24 hours. But had I not known who to call or how to fight or that I could fight, then we would not have had the outcome that we now have for Mark, which is a very positive outcome. Those are the missions for me and why I want to talk about stroke and being an advocate and a caregiver all through the month of May. And for me, if I can help just one person, as I said, that this is going to make it makes it all worthwhile to me. So if you or someone you love has been touched by stroke, please do check out my book. It's Surrounded by Love, One Family's Journey Through Stroke Recovery. It's on Amazon and Audible. You can find it on my website, which is loriwilliams-seniorservices.com. Please share this episode and the podcast with your friends and family. Be sure to subscribe so that you never miss any of our episodes, especially the next ones through May are going to be really informative, as I said, and all about stroke. So thank you as always for tuning in, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye. Hi, thank you for listening. Navigating care for a loved one who's a stroke survivor can be totally overwhelming. Yes, the internet is free and there's a ton of information out there, but also your time is valuable. That's why I wrote my book, Surrounded by Love, One Family's Journey Through Stroke Recovery. In the book, I document everything that I've learned and wish someone had told me about while I was navigating the first months of stroke recovery with my husband, Mark. It's available now on Amazon and all other online book retailers. There's also a link in the show notes that you can click to get your own copy.